It's the GTN Show, and we have another packed show with results from the Otelo Swim Run World Champs, Ironman 70.3 Lanzarote, and more.
We do, and also it's building up now to the 70.3 World Champs, just a few days' time, and combining that with the big end of season races coming up, plus the back of Eurobike, there's a lot of exciting and new tech, and we're going to be sharing some of that with you.
I think it's safe to say there's been a lot of cycling and triathlon tech released in the last week or so.
Yeah, we just had Eurobike where a lot of the latest products and tech have been launched, and we've picked a few of our favourites.
Yes, so Ceramicspeed have been around for a number of years designing products that save us watts on the bike. And whilst they started with bearings, they have more latterly ventured into things like the chain.
Well, yeah, they have this week just announced their new UFO Drip chain coating, and after 4,000 hours of testing, apparently it is the fastest product for your chain, and it's obviously been time well spent, as apparently it can save you as much as 2 to 3 watts. Notio Konect is a rather groundbreaking piece of technology. Now, it was actually previewed at Eurobike last year, and it's been designed in partnership with Argon 18. And basically, it's a sensor that sits on the front of your bike and effectively measures how aerodynamic you are.
By measuring and cross-referencing 8 sensor families, it can bring together accurate data regarding your drag coefficient. And the really cool thing is, you can see this data in real time on your bike computer. And if you're worried about it being exclusive to Argon 18, they have said that it will hopefully be available for any bike brand.
Our friends at Polar have just announced the release of their new OH1 optical heart rate sensor. Now, it looks pretty much like the average heart rate sensor, but the great thing is you can wear it on your arm or even on your upper leg, apparently.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be getting hold of these soon, so we'll be able to try it out and let you know how we get on.
In July, Bianchi announced a partnership with the car brand Ferrari, and at Eurobike they unveiled a couple of the outcomes from that collaboration, one of which included the partial construction of a triathlon concept bike.
And apparently the plan is to complete this with internal hydraulic and electronic routing, but we'll just have to wait and see.
And we all know the brand Oakley for their eyewear, but they've actually just started to venture into cycling helmets.
Yeah, they've just released their Arrow helmet range, and it's the Arrow 7 that's really caught our eye. It's a TT helmet which features their prism lens. You can easily remove it and just place it on the top of the helmet. Last week we asked you what is your favourite triathlon discipline, and we gave you 4 options of swim, bike, run and even transition. And it was actually transition that came in 4th place with 3%.
Well, 3rd place it was swimming with 15%.
And in 2nd place it was the running with 21%.
And in 1st place it was cycling with 59%. Well, it looks as though the masses have all agreed with Mark on this one, but I reckon that they don't all experience the same British weather that we sometimes get. I did survive a 100-mile time trial in the pouring rain on the weekend, so at the moment, running is definitely staying as my favourite.
Right, well this week's poll might require you to think a little bit, because this weekend we have the Ironman 70.3 World Champs, and for the women it's a really tight field, so we're really keen to get your views. Which female do you think is going to take the win?
Yeah, as you said, it is a very competitive field. Now, we've done the hard task of whittling it down to 3 athletes. So you have the option of Holly Lawrence, Daniela Reef or Heather Jackson. Now, we know 3 is a really tough call, so we're giving you the option of other. And if you do think it's going to be another athlete, make sure you tick that box and leave your predictions in the comment section below.
Yeah, and to enter that poll, you just click on the link above Heather's head to enter. It's time for the Caption Competition, and this is your opportunity to win a cap by sending in your captions. And last week we used the photo of Nicola Spirig running in front of Fabian Cancellara.
Well, since we actually used that photo, last weekend she went and did her very first triathlon since giving birth and went and won it.
Well, we'll let Fabian off for having to run behind her then.
I think so. Right, well, we have chosen our winner for this competition, and it is Brian Glynn, who came up with the caption, "Fabulous to see an ex-pro cyclist getting into the Spirig of triathlon."
That's great, Brian. So just get in contact with us over Facebook to claim your cap.
This week, it's a photo of GCN's Dan Lloyd in the pool.
Think I'll start this one off, Heather? Actually, never mind.
Well, if you reckon you can do any better than that, leave your captions in the comments below.
It's that time of year, it's another busy week of racing, so let's get stuck into the results.
Yeah, it was an interesting result actually in the Des Moines Escape Series Triathlon, which is an Olympic distance. The men's event was won by Javier Gomez, who's focusing on the 70.3 Worlds, which are now in just a few days' time. And the women's race was won by Lauren Goss of the USA.
This weekend we had the 12th edition of the Otalo Swim Run World Championships, which take place in Sweden. And for those that don't know anything about this event, it takes place off the coast of Stockholm on 26 islands, totaling 10 kilometres of swimming and 65 kilometres of running. And this year they had terrible weather conditions, but still the course record was broken by 1 minute by the Swedish Armed Forces team in the men's event.
Well, over in the women's race, it was the team Adnacha Camps that came out on top, and the mixed event was won by the team Thule Crew Trisport.
And over at Ironman 70.3 Lanzarote, it was South Africa's James Kunema that took the win in the men's event, which is really impressive considering he's focusing on Kona, which is around 5 weeks from now.
Well, over on the women's side, it's Lucy Charles also focusing on Kona, who looked to be in great form going into the run. She had a 3-minute lead, but Anne Haug flew past her and ended up winning by 8 minutes. Over in Austria, the middle distance challenge event in Kaiserwinkel Walschi, the weather was so bad they had to shorten the swim and the bike, but there were still some really strong performances.
Yeah, and in the men's event it was Thomas Steger of Austria that took the win, and in the women's it was Laura Siddle of Great Britain.
Coming up this weekend, it's the 70.3 World Championships out in Chattanooga, and I'm delighted to say that I've got the opportunity to go out there to follow the race, but also to compete in it. And if you're interested, you can follow my progress on social media, because I'm going to be using this Quark collector, which will give real-time data to show exactly how I'm getting on in the event.
There's no hiding now, Heather.
I know.
Now it's time for this week's Try DIY, where we get you to send in photos of your latest try hacks.
Well, our first one is in from Philip Tucker, and he has designed his own bicycle computer mat that he's obviously made.
Yeah, so he's actually had this punched out on a CNC machine at work, and he's even powder coated it black to match his bike. And I can only imagine it's just because where his bars come in at an angle, he's just had to improvise and make something himself.
It's quite some effort.
Next in from Try and Try on Twitter, he appears to have deconstructed some electronic gears so that he can place them on his hoods or on his base bar on his tri bike, meaning that he can actually change gear when he's off his aero bars, whether he's climbing or descending. So it's really cool, really like that.
Well, next in we have this one from James Lowe. James has adapted his normal water bottle into an aero bottle, so quite ingenious in that sense, by making a hole on the side of the bottle, putting it on its side, and then it looks as though he's used glue to make sure it doesn't leak from the straw, and tied it on with a piece of elastic.
Yeah, it's a really nice money-saving hack. And don't forget to keep sending in your photos over Twitter using the hashtag TryDIY or over Facebook. We're back at Coach's Corner, and this week we have a running video in from Mo Al-Harbi. And it starts with a rear shot of him running, where I can see he's got a fair bit of motion and swaying from side to side in his hips as he runs. And a simple fix for this is just to do some hip and glute strengthening exercises, just to help with that stability as you're running. And then as the shot moves closer, I can see that he's bringing his arms across his chest a fair bit when he runs. So simply say, just try and bring them through in a forward motion, just to help with that symmetry as you're running. And then finally, side shot also shows that he's got kind of limited movement in his hips. So I'd simply say just to do some hip flexor stretches, just to increase that length of the stride as you're running. And please keep sending your videos in using the hashtag Coach's Corner on Twitter or over Facebook.
On to comments of the week, and one that caught my eye from the 8 key stretches video came in from Jay Richmond. He says, "Niggles? What are niggles? Is it when someone tickles you at night?" Now, Jay, I think this might have got a little lost in translation, because a niggle in our language anyway is just a little ache or pain.
Yep, and from the video on descending on a TT versus a road bike, I had a comment in from Andoman121. He said, "This is ridiculous. We all know fixed is king of the descents." Now, I'd love to see that. That would be very entertaining. And then Craig Orrell said, I hope Mark did more than the downhill exercise to justify that slab of chocolate cake. And if you didn't see the video, I did finish it with a rather large piece of chocolate cake in front of me. But I can confirm I did do a lot of cycling that day.
Yeah. Well, do keep commenting on our videos because we love reading your comments.
And on to the Tri Zone, where we get you to send in photos of your transition area with your bike all racked up. So to kick things off, we have a photo here from Darren Kuzik of his transition zone in a rather Baltic Belfast.
Well, it looks as though he's tried to beat the elements a bit here. He's got bags well laid out, trying to keep his kit as dry as possible. Our next is Rikela Vardiner at her first triathlon on Saturday. She looks pretty happy about the fact.
Yeah, she's also mid-eating, but also very colour coordinated. I like it.
Nice.
And then we have another from Sebastian Vollert, and it's his another first ever triathlon, and this time it's in Cologne.
Well, considering it's his first one, this is a very tidy layout. Looks like he's got some good tips there, I think.
Very impressive, Sebastian. And please keep your photos coming in using the hashtag TriZone on Twitter or sending them in over Facebook. And on Friday, we have our 5 essential bike skills to master.
Saturday, I'll be bringing you a pro bike from Chattanooga.
And on Sunday, we have drafting on hips versus drafting on feet for swimming.
On Monday, I'm going to be showing you how to repair your wetsuit.
And on Tuesday, we have how to train like a pro for swimming.
And then Wednesday, you guessed it, we're back here for the GTN Show.
That's it from us, and to see more videos from the Global Triathlon Network, just subscribe by clicking on the globe. And to see our how to run with a heart rate monitor video, just click down here.
And if you want to watch a video on 8 key stretches to improve your flexibility, click here.